the outside decorations are homemade, and each one of them has a story behind it. The chipmunks we saw years ago in the arcade in the Crew Tower, and the little dancing snow people, we saw them in Shillitoe's window at 7th and Elm in Cincinnati. And all the music is homemade also. I make all my own tapes and everything. Of course, we don't listen to it in the house, just outside.
All right, you chipmunks, ready to sing your song?
The mechanism for that is mainly some old pulleys, part of a broom handle cut in pieces, drapery hangers, and an old motor out of a jukebox. And we use that to gear it down, and there are several pulleys with belts, and that's the mechanism in it. And it didn't cost hardly any, well, it didn't cost me anything to build other than the 3 little teddy bears downstairs. Other than the rest of it was all scraps and it's wrapping paper and garland. But we've lived here 47 years. And we started on 10th Street in Dayton before that. So we're well over 50 years that we've been doing all this stuff. As we bought our first house, and we had 2 strands of lights, and that was all. And so now, 50 years later, we're doing pretty good at it. It takes a long time to get it. Halloween weekend, we start putting it out, but we start working on it in August and September. And we light it up on Thanksgiving Day, and this will be on now till at least mid-January or better. It really depicts Christmas the way it was years ago, and the way people really want it, you know. There's a lot of computerized stuff out there, but it really doesn't catch the eye of the children and older people. They still enjoy it to this day. And to this day, we still have cars every night of the week. Last Saturday night, had to been a half a dozen cars lined up, just trying to come in to see the display. I've never gotten a complaint about it. Of course, we shut it all down about 10 o'clock or so during the week. Weekends, I'll leave it on a little bit longer. Then on Christmas Eve, I leave this part on all night, and with the music playing with it. Everything else is shut off, and nobody ever complains. In fact, there was one couple said they sat out here and got engaged. I get cards and letters every year. We've got a big scrapbook. One of them was addressed to the House of Lights, and that's all it had on it, and it got here. It's been a pleasure doing all this, all these years, even though it is a lot of work. But after I really got into it, I saw how much pleasure there was. Everything is all homemade and just designed specifically to gear for children, but the adults enjoy it just as much as the children do. Now the whip I built myself. The guardhouses, I built those myself. And these little soldiers here are homemade. They're not store-bought. Most everything in the yard is all homemade and built by myself. And The toy soldiers, I was standing at the dry cleaners one day, watching the clothes go around on the conveyor, and I thought that would be a good idea. So I came home, and one of the girls' old bicycles was out in the tool shed. So I took a hacksaw and cut it up in pieces, and that's what we used until all the wheels went bad on it. And it was so old that nobody had parts to fix it. So now we just kind of set the toy soldiers off on the side over there. They're kind of in retirement. All these branches are tree branches. I cut them down, take all the leaves off, I paint them white, and then I sprinkle glitter on there. Now, I don't know if you ever tried to paint a tree, but it's a lot of fun if you want to try. These things here, the side was an old swimming pool we had for the kids when we first moved out here. It's like wire mesh. We just cover that, and then there's 75-watt light bulbs under there. And then the sleigh and the whip, that has a story behind it too. An old gentleman came to my store and told me he was the only one that ever had a whip that worked, and I asked him how it worked. After a little bit of a conversation, and this was in the middle of either June or July, he got up and he took a look at me and he says, like I say, I'm the only one that ever had one that worked, and he walked out the door. So I figured if he can do it, I can do it too. So he had 4 strands of lights. I've got about 18 on that one. It works real well. We used to put it on the roof, but I figured at my age, we better keep it on the ground. And the biggest thing used to be when we put the sleigh and the whip on the roof, the adults would try to figure out how it worked, and I don't tell anybody how that works. The most favorite is Al, as long as he worked, and all the children like him. And, well, the adults do too. How it's worked over 40 years, I'll never know. We light it all up on Thanksgiving Day. And this year, I had my whole entire family here, except for one grandson and his little girl. So I had 7 great-grandkids and 5 grandkids, my daughters and their husbands. And we had quite a time that night. We used to bring Santa Claus in on the fire truck, and we would use at least 300 candy canes and better in one evening. And people would line up from that driveway all the way down to this driveway over here, waiting for Santa Claus to come in on the fire truck. It was quite an evening. It's always been fun around here. Of course, and then we had a little open house with it. And as you can see, the inside of the house looks like the outside. Now, this is a tree in the family room, and it has to be 35 years old or older, and we spray it with spray snow and throw a lot of the snow on there, and then we put the ornaments on it. And then the crib set, it takes 2 to 3 days to put that together after the tree is finished. And a lot of those pieces in there, my wife and I bought when we were going together, and we were married a little over 56 years, so it tells you how old some of those features are. Most of those houses in there are all pressed paper or cardboard. That's the way they made them years ago, like Santa Claus coming out of the clouds there. That's all pressed cardboard and paper. And then the fireplace was an old tree that we had, And we started decorating with that. We just took the branches and put the green on first, and then you add all the other stuff after you put the lights on. That takes a couple of days to put that together. This is the living room. And that was my wife's favorite tree. That's what we called her clown tree. Actually, when we put that together, that was the last thing the two of us did together, was put that tree in 06, the year she passed away. I made a promise years ago when I was in Korea, 1952, that if I got out of there, I was going to make Christmas pretty happy. And so far, we're doing a pretty fair job of it, I think. And to this day, we still have cars every night of the week. Last Saturday night, had to been a half a dozen cars lined up just trying to come in to see the display. And I figure as long as my health holds out and I can do it, I'm just going to keep on putting it together and let the people enjoy it, and I'll keep my promise as long as I can keep it. And that's what Christmas is all about.